Hey there YouTube, this is going to be a video response to DestructionSnakePit, whose channel you will find around here somewhere. He's well worth checking out. He's a very good Transformers reviewer, and a really genuinely lovely chap as well. Pred asked in a recent video, is there a Transformers character that everybody else likes, who is a fan favourite, that you dislike? And I was thinking about this, and I can only echo Pred's own sentiments. Pred hoisted up Optimus Prime as an example, and I can't think of any other character really whom I dislike as much as Optimus Prime. Any character really that promotes itself as a hero in any fiction I dislike. I dislike heroes that are not conflicted or which fulfill particular hero archetypes, and Optimus Prime is, like many of the heroes from 1980s toy lines or cartoons, an Arthurian archetype. Meaning basically that he is what ho thou evil villain. He's very pure, does everything right. There's very little doubt or questioning in him. He has a very absolutist idea of what morality is, of what right and wrong are, and he fights to see them enforced. My problem with this is that the heroes of today inevitably become the tyrants of tomorrow. Let's assume that the Autobots win the war on Cybertron, that they defeat the Decepticons and everything is hunky-dory. I can foresee a situation in which the Autobots then attempt to export their morality across the wider universe to prevent other races from warring or from engaging in their own particular ideological or political disputes. And eventually what you would have is an empire. You would have an imposition of morality and of ideology that is at least as extreme as what anything the Decepticons would impose. The only difference is that it would come under the name of freedom. It would come under the name of righteousness and goodness. Very much like the Federation in Star Trek. I've always had a big problem with the Federation in Star Trek. It's always come across to me as very imperialist. There's a line in that song from the 1980s, Star Trekkin', and you know, it's funny, but it does emphasise the hypocrisy of the Federation, which is we come in peace, shoot to kill, shoot to kill, shoot to kill. Which sums it up quite nicely. Yes, we come in peace, but if you do not conform to our morality, then we will use force in order to impose it. And that's exactly the same thing you have with the Autobots and with any good guys, really. I much prefer the characters who are more conflicted. Characters like Dinobot from Beast Wars. I think Dinobot from Beast Wars is a much better hero than Optimus Prime is, because he has conflict. Optimus is more conflicted in the comics, yes, that's definitely true, particularly in the more modern ones. He seems to have made it much more in the way of introspective moments where he's uncertain of what he's doing and of his lineage and all of that stuff. But even so, he will never put down his morality ultimately. He will never put down the basis of his morality, and he will never really question it that much. Now the same is true of Megatron. And in that regard, they're very similar. Very similar indeed. Megatron has a very particular morality, Optimus has a very particular morality. They're both absolutists. The only difference I can see is that Megatron is at the very least honest in terms of the implications of his morality, because his morality is consequentially the same as Prime's, which is the imposition of ideology. The only difference is that Megatron doesn't do it in the name of righteousness. He doesn't do it in the name of peace or goodness or whatever, or freedom. He seems to acknowledge that if you hold that kind of ideology, that kind of absolutism, then it is going to be tyrannical by its very nature. And if that's the way it is, then that's the way it is, insofar as Megatron is concerned. Optimus, on the other hand, seems to be a closet absolutist, if you like. His absolutist morality, like that of all heroes, cloaks itself in this veneer of holier-than-thou-ness. And it's something I really cannot stand. I really cannot stand it. Not only that, but the character's boring. The character is boring as hell. He is the Arthurian archetype, and there is nothing else to him. Now, people hate Rodimus Prime because he's conflicted, and because he doesn't feel that he's adequate for the job of Autobot leader. I like Rodimus Prime for that reason. I think he's a shit toy. Don't get me wrong, the toy of Rodimus Prime is fucking awful. But I like the character more than I like Optimus Prime, because Rodimus Prime has some depth. That questioning that he has of his own status and of his aptitude for the position of Autobot leader, I think could potentially make him a better leader than Optimus ever was. The same is also true of latter leaders like Optimus Primal. Optimus Primal I much prefer to Optimus Prime, principally because of the character development he's given in shows such as Beast Machines. In Beast Machines, Optimus Primal becomes, well, at least in Season 1, he becomes this raving fanatic who is absolutely assured of his own righteousness, but then he learns, later on he sees the consequences of his actions and becomes much more neutral, I suppose, than he was initially. And I think that's what should have happened to Optimus Prime, ideally, to make him a more interesting character. His morality should be ameliorated somewhat. As it is, he stands as an icon, he has a certain sanctified quality, and I'm always suspicious of characters who are canonised, who have a certain saintly quality to them. Because for one thing, I think it's a synthesis, particularly when it's applied to real human beings. I'm very suspicious of that. When you have people who existed in reality, who are held up as archetypes of goodness or whatever. That's not to say that human beings are not capable of fantastically positive things. No, that's not what I'm saying. Or that particular actions or accomplishments are not worthy of praise. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that to synthesize human beings and to put them on a pedestal and to not acknowledge their complexities and their foibles does them a disservice. And the same is, that's why I dislike characters like Optimus Prime, because that's what they represent. They represent this impossible ideal that is in and of itself hypocritical anyway. So there you go. There's the character I dislike that everybody else seems to like, and why.